It is Monday, January 1st, and I'm going to be talking about two new whips I have. One of them I cast on Christmas Day, and the other one I cast on last night, New Year's Eve. The first one, my Christmas Day cast on, is a 12-day Advent project that I'm actually going to be finishing in 12 days. Woohoo! And then the second one, I am doing a brand new technique for me, Ladderback Jacquard, with my 2-color and 3-color color work. So I learned that today. It's January 1st. Already learned a new thing. Feeling pretty great about that. So those are my two whips that I'm going to be showing and discussing in detail in this video. First, let's talk about my Advent. I do have a video of all the skeins laid out in real lighting before I started winding them up and knitting them into a project. I got a 12-day Advent. It was a very spur of the moment, emotional, being weary, needing to pick me up kind of a decision. At the very end of November, my local yarn store had Wonderland Yarns Frabjous Fibers. I'm not sure how you say it. I assume it's Frabjous. Not sure. They have these adorable Alice in Wonderland theme names for all of their stuff, or most of their stuff. And they had 12-day and 24-day Advents. I got what was left at the store by the time I went in, which was a 12-day Advent. Financially the better decision for me rather than the 24-day for sure. 12-day Advent with some of the extras. The first thing I opened was one of the extras. I got 2 of these ornaments. I saw some people also had someone had a blue one on their Ravelry page. I got 2 pink ones. They're super cute. And the stitch markers, I don't know where my pink stitch marker is, but the stitch markers and the ornament and the colors of the yarn all are exactly the same, and the theme is merry and bright. And I've seen some Advents that are kind of random, but this is not random at all. This is very, very carefully put together and adorable. It also came with this felted bag. This is the project bag this year. So I loved all of the extras for sure. They're just absolutely adorable. Everything's in theme. So this is the Mad Hatter Sport Weight base. So I have 12 20-gram minis, and I decided to make a blanket out of them in which I could use almost the entire skein for each color. So yeah, I waited until I'd opened the entire thing. I opened one on the odd days of December. So the 1st, 3rd, 5th, etc. until Christmas Day. And then I opened the extras just randomly, and I opened the project bag on Christmas Day. And I had already decided partway through that I was going to make a blanket. Here it is. The pattern is Waves Baby Blanket by Knitting for Breakfast. It came out in 2016. Not a lot of people have made it. It's only $3, and I love the pattern. It's like about $3, but anyway. Look how adorable it is. I'm having so much fun making this. Not even kidding. Just an absolute blast. I've been trying to keep it in the order that I open the yarns. So the first one I happened to open was this one. What I might do, this was my last yarn, and this matches better on this end. Oh, I might have to. I might make this at the end and then graft it to the beginning. I almost wish I'd started with this, but it was kind of hard to tell until I started winding up the balls how the colors were going to variegate. So yeah, the solids are really, really nice, but seeing how the colors play out is the most fun. This is one of my favorite ones. And this one reminds me of lollipops. Like, I opened it, and it just makes you kind of drool. It makes me think of candy. Gosh, my lighting is terrible. I can see why people film in the daylight. I'm filming on Thursday now so that you've got some actual lighting so you can see my project. I'm very pleased I decided to do a blanket with this. I don't know what else you would do with yarn like this, because this would have been too much for a shawl. If I'd done one of their shawls, I probably would have had a lot of leftovers. And I don't want an awkward amount of sport weight leftovers. I don't have that many sport weight leftovers. So I decided to look for sport weight patterns. I was really feeling the waves for some reason, so I just even looked up like waves blanket. And then the one I ended up buying, there were a bunch of options. This one ended up just being the one that was in sport weight, and it is perfect for the amount of yarn. Each one of these is almost exactly 20 grams, but I have enough leftovers that I'm not panicking about running out, but not so much that I could do more rows. I could not do any more rows of this than I've done for each color, and I'm actually following the amount of repeats it says to do in the pattern before you do the garter borders. So if you have 20 gram sport weight, you can make the pattern with fingering. It would just be lighter, or DK, and it would just be thicker. If you have 20 grams and you want to make a striped blanket like this, go ahead and check out this pattern. If you have different weight, you might need to adjust the number of stitches, play around with your first stripe a little bit, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun making this. The most fun I've had making anything in a while. I have to show off how extreme my leftovers are. My cast on edge ate a lot of yarn, so I have almost none of my cast on edge left, and I have plenty more of the others compared to that. But okay, after casting on and knitting through the entire first repeat of the pattern, this is what's left. This is what is left. This happened to me, and I knew right away. I was like, this is perfect. This is the perfect pattern for this project. I'm very, very pleased with it. Here's my pink leftovers. And then as I got more efficient, I have like a little bit more of the later colors. But yeah, I gotta add these. This is my leftovers bag, and I only have one color left to do. I'm thinking I might make a garland of like little baubles with these as decorations for next holiday season. Or I might make like a little matching children's toy to go with this. I was thinking either an octopus, or I found like a caterpillar pattern. I think by Pearl Soho or something. One of them was by Pearl Soho. I saved a couple like little children's toy patterns. I might even run out of yarn, depending on how much I'm supposed to have, but I might make like a tiny little matching toy to go with the blanket. So yeah, I'm undecided. I'm actually thinking now, as much as I like all the pink together, I think it would look nice to kind of tie the whole thing together by having the pink at the other end. Yeah, I think it'll be fine just to do this at the end. I'm just too lazy to graft it. Not really feeling the grafting. It would be an awful lot of work to sew this onto here. So that's my blanket pattern. I'm supposed to finish it like on the 6th or by the 6th in order to have it be a 12 Days of Christmas project. And I definitely will, because it is the 4th right now, and I only have like 1.75 stripes to go. So I will take a picture of it when it's done. I'll throw it up on the screen when it's done, actually. Alright, it's time to talk about the project that I cast on New Year's Eve. I had filmed a bunch of it, but it was too long and confusing, because what ended up happening was on January 2nd, 2 days into the project, I realized that these two colors that I had chosen are too similar to have good details in the more detailed colorwork section that was coming up later in the rest of the shawl. I had gotten like a lot of the neckline and the top of the yoke established, and then I got to the part where these two were doing colorwork together, and I looked at it, I was like, this is not going to work. It's not going to look as crisp and as detailed as I would have wanted. So this color has been canceled, and I had to rip it out of the project. And this color was the neckline. This is one of the contrast colors. This is Plymouth DK Superwash, I think, in the color Burgundy. And I do love it. I have 3 balls of it. For some reason, when I was starting this project, I thought that I wanted some dark red in it. I think this would have worked as the main color, but it did not work as a contrast color. The contrast color is supposed to be way lighter originally in the pattern, so that's my bad. I need to be more careful about planning my color work. So, this Plymouth has been canceled from this project, and it's going to go live in another project. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do with it, and we'll talk about that later. So what the heck is this, right? What is this thing that has needles on both ends of it right now? Yikes. This is going to be a Sueño, and I'm very, 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 very excited about it. I saw this pattern sometime in the summer. It's the Herbalist Sueño by Olga Putano. I saw it and I just fell in love. I fell hard in love with this pattern, deeply in love. There was a point like recently where I knew I was planning on doing it next and I got not excited about it somehow, but as soon as I started it, I fell in love all over again. So a suancho is when you knit the yoke really, really long, like it's gonna be a poncho, and then you cast off the body of it. You separate the body and sleeves very late. So if you love yokes and hate sleeves, you should make a suancho. So you separate it very late and then cast off the body, and then you knit just a little bit of a sleeve at the end. I'm very, very excited about it. I think it's going to be gorgeous. I did a little swatch. I know some people have had gauge problems with it and a lot of problems with the 3-color color work. And I also traditionally have problems with the 3-color color work. So the thing I learned how to do, I learned something new on January 1st. I can't show it to you because I ripped it out. And the yarn I bought to replace my red yarn is not here yet. It hasn't shipped. So my solution to the 3-color color work is learning how to do Ladderback Jacquard. And I'm obsessed. I wish I could show it to you, but I did rip all of it out. I did like 12 rows of the Ladderback Jacquard that was very carefully planned. And then, yeah, I tore all of it out. So Ladderback Jacquard is when you have these invisible extra knit stitches in the contrast color that you don't need as often at the back of your work. And then you run them for several rows and they become like ladders. And they really sandwich a lot of your extra floats together in a nice, gentle, pleasant way. And it makes the back of your work just... I've never had work that looked like that before. My color work always looks like trash. I struggle with it. I try to go too fast and my tension... have a lot of struggles with my tension. My 2-color is okay. My 3-color is not so much okay. So I think any 3-color work that I do in the future is going to have to be Ladderback Jacquard. It is time consuming. It's very advanced. I recommend you start with the 2-color and don't jump in with the 3-color like I did, but it is worth the effort. And I will be showing it later and talking about it later. One thing I've never done before that I decided to do is I ripped out the neckline stitch by stitch, 1 stitch at a time. Those ones are twisted. How did I even do that? That's not good. Come here. No, they're fine. Are they? I don't know. I ripped out the neckline stitch by stitch, pulled all of the yarn out of it to get the main color out, and then I basically treated it like a very incorrectly done provisional cast on. So as I was ripping it out, I grabbed the ends of these stitches onto my needle, and then when my new contrast color, that's a Dusty Rose, gets here, I will knit the collar like backwards with my contrast color, and it'll be fine. It really doesn't matter which way you knit the ribbing on your collar, so I'm gonna do it backwards from what I was supposed to do in order to save my short rows and some of my color work, because I really didn't want to have to do all of this again. I didn't want to have to start over, so I saved about like 20 rows of it. This yarn is by HiKoo, and it's called Sueño. It's a DK yarn. It's 80% merino superwash and then 20% bamboo viscose. I have the color caramel and the color charcoal. I'm very, 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 very excited about this project. And then the 3rd color I ordered, I decided to have all the yarns be the same, exactly the same type. So the 3rd color I ordered is Dusty Rose, and it's going to match more what the pattern was supposed to be. There was a way lighter pink color. I was close to doing lavender, but some of the photos I saw of projects with the lavender look kind of medium or like darker toned, and the rose looked lighter, and I was like, I need it to be light. I need to be able to see some crisp lines on all of my color work. So yes, it is disappointing that I had to rip this out and that I have it on 2 sets of needles right now. These are the needles, the little ones here are the needles I need and that I used for the ribbing. So as soon as that pink yarn gets here, I'm just gonna rib my 4 rows, and then the top of it will be done again, and then I won't have this mess of needles. And then I can add the pink right away here in this row and just continue on. I've got the ladder placement planned into my chart. I've got like little dots in the color that the ladder will be, exactly in the spot where I want the ladders. And then when I don't need the ladders anymore for that particular spot, I have an X to like knit them together and close the ladder. So everything is planned. I was having so much fun with this in the 2 days that I worked on it before I realized that my yarn was a mistake. So I'm like itching to get to work on it again, and literally there's nothing I can do about this. Like, I need my 3rd color. I don't have the color. So we're gonna put that back in the bag, and we're not gonna look at it right now. It's okay. The other thing I want to say about that pattern is you really should check out the designer, because her stuff is absolutely gorgeous. I've never seen anyone mention her stuff before, I don't think. Maybe somebody mentioned the Swan Show. Maybe there was another vlogger who mentioned the Swan Show and that's how I found it. I'm not sure. If you've seen anybody mention this, please tell me who they are, because I don't remember. But I really, really, really love Olga's stuff. This Swan Show comes in 3 sizes. I'm making a size 1, which is the smallest one, because that one's meant to be like 50 some inches with a lot of ease, and I think it will fit me just fine. And then she does have other Swan Shows that come in more sizes. Her Sunny Swan Show, that one is a lot more scrap friendly. It's also made from DK. I'm thinking about making that one next. Maybe I could repurpose the red yarn into that, actually. I'm going to have to check on the yardage. But I do have another possible plan for my burgundy yarn. But the Sunny Days, Sunny Swan Show, Sunny whatever, that one comes in 10 sizes from like 48 to 84 inches around for the bust. So if you're looking for something that has more size options and is more fitted and less oversized, I'd recommend looking at that one. But she has a lot of other really beautiful color work patterns. There's a lot of them I looked at that I really liked. So I would recommend that you check her out. Oh my gosh, it's finally here. Look at how dirty my package is. It's January 11th. And finally, my new matching yarn is here. Yeah. It's not wound. Okay. That's gonna be pretty. We like that. That's a lot better. It's not wound though. I guess I need to wind it. I am so happy. This is gonna be a while. Winding this is gonna take me a while. Alright. It's only tied in one spot, it looks like. I am so glad that this is here. I'm gonna go ahead and fix the ribbing today so that I can get these extra annoying needles out of the start of my project. This is so soft. The color is exactly what I wanted. I'm glad it's not super pink. It does read like almost kind of purpley, kind of like a little bit of a mauve. Yay! I've been like looking at the tracking email for a while. I don't know if the postal service was weird with the package, but they said it hadn't been like actually shipped yet. But I just got it from like Jimmy Bean's Wool, that website. Their website said that they shipped it many days ago, and then I got notified yesterday that it had shipped from Reno, Nevada. And I was like, all right, and it was expected by Saturday, and we had an not insane, it was just normal. We had like a normal snowstorm yesterday, on Tuesday the 9th. Yeah, it was on Tuesday. We had a decent amount of snow on Tuesday. So apparently some poor postal service worker like drove at full speed overnight through the Dakotas and Minnesota and whatever, all the way over here to Wisconsin to get me my yarn. I was notified today that it was like already here and then on the truck for delivery. I was like, wait, you didn't need, I really wanted it, but you didn't need to do that though. Like, it's fine. Whoop, dropping it. As you can see from how long it took me to get this video out, I'm not able to put out more than 2 podcasts per month while my university students are here. Like, I'm exhausted. I'm getting knitting done, but I don't have time to like film when there's daylight and like upload it. And then the other thing I was struggling with is I have several DK scrap projects in mind, and I went through and talked about them and showed yarn for them multiple times, but I just can't decide for sure what I'm doing and what yarn I'm using for what projects. So I think, I don't know. I think I might just show them as they happen and do kind of a regular, like, this is what I've been working on video. I made almost an entire pair of socks. Alrighty. Look at that. Yarn that's in my state at my house attached to my needles so I can redo the neckline of my project. We're back in business. Back in business. I twisted all of these, put them on like backwards, so I'm having to knit into the back loop that's actually not the back loop on most of them, but whatever. I'm doing a knit round so that the color change will be clean. And then it's just 4 rounds of ribbing. Very small amount of ribbing. I'll have this done today, and then we can go move on with our lives. We can move on from this. I am very glad that early on in my project, only like 9 rows or whatever into my 3 colors, I made this decision. I'm glad I made the decision early, and I was just like, it was just a blur. I couldn't stop myself from ripping it out, but I'm glad that I did it because I'm a lot happier with this new color. Look at that. Notice you can actually see it. That's important. That is what we needed. All right, we gotta finish this. Show you the blanket, show you the socks I'm almost done with, show you my Ladderback Jacquard that I did yesterday, and my other project that I'm working on right now, and that'll be it for today. The rest of my plans are pending, and we'll just get to them as they happen. Here are the new colors that you didn't get to see knit up. The pink is at the end, and it works because there's enough pink in this variegated section. Thank goodness for that. I didn't block it yet, that's why it's curling quite a bit. But I probably can get rid of a lot of the curl if I stretch it out, let it dry. Probably won't do that for a while though, until I'm probably keeping it. But if I decided to give it away to somebody, I have one friend who likes really, really bright rainbow colors. So if she has a baby in a year or 2, I could give it to her. But otherwise, I'm honestly planning on keeping it. So yeah, I do need to block out the ends. But I'm very happy with it. It was a great way to use up all of my Advent yarn and not have a lot of leftovers. And great way to start the year. I'm glad I finished it on time. I was knitting on January 5th. I mean, I could have finished it on the 6th because that's technically like when the 12 days of Christmas ends. But I finished it the night before, like a night early, and I was knitting up until like 12:30 at night though, so technically it was the 6th. And then right after that, last like Saturday, I think it was, I cast on these socks. I'm almost done with the second one. I'm gonna finish this basically right now and just put them on my feet for the rest of the blizzard. If you're also in the Midwest or the parts of the Northeast that are getting this winter storm right now, I feel you. This is not cables, it's a lace pattern. It's a pass slip stitch over. It's not a cable, don't worry. This pattern is Fleurs des Champs. I'm going to have to spell it out for you. It's spelled C-H-A-M-P-S, but it's pronounced Fleurs des Champs. And the designer is Tricot. There's a T at the end though. T-R-I-C-O-T. Tricot Design MCL. I think MCL is her initials. Her name is Marie Christine. That's the designer. And I had several of these pairs of sock patterns favorited. This is a gusset with slip stitches, and then there's a rib on the front. This one I chose because it is toe up, but I actually bought this entire set of like 12 botanical sock patterns. You could buy each of them individually for like $6 or something like that, or you could get all 12 as a collection for like, I think it was like 23 or 22 US dollars, something really affordable like that, which is an absolute bargain for this many beautiful sock patterns. So I just went ahead and did that. You can buy them if you read French. You can buy the French patterns on their website. My French is not that good, so I had to go on Ravelry and like add every single pattern by itself to my cart. But once you get all 12 of them, then the discount just happens. I do love these for my first socks that I'm making for myself. The one thing is I should have made a size small. I made a size medium, which is 64 stitches around. And the reason I did that is most of my gift knits socks, I think 2 of them were 64 stitches around, and I was trying them on my feet and they fit just fine. But I think because this is ribbed, it's stretchier than the socks I was making that were stockinette. And so since I was between sizes, I probably should have sized down for a sock since it's meant to be very tight and fitted. But I didn't. I'm going to try, I think, a 60 stitch sock for myself next. Because when I put these on, I can easily grab like 4 stitches, like pinch them off of the fabric, and it's obvious that that would have been fine. I did not need all 64 of these stitches. The top of them is very loose. Now that's not the fault of the pattern. There's supposed to be ribbing up here as well, but since this is leftover scrap yarn and I only had 64 grams of it, which is not a lot to do a sock with a pattern on the leg, I had to get rid of the ribbing at the top because I knew I was running out of yarn. This was exactly 32 grams, so I only have 32 grams left to finish this. I cannot afford those extra rounds of ribbing, but it does make the tops of them very loose, so yeah, a little bit of regret about that as far as making the pattern too loose. But I mean, if you make socks that are too small, then you can't get them on your feet, so it makes sense that I made them a little big to compensate. But yeah, my next pattern sock, especially one with some ribbing in it, I will do 60 stitches. I'm planning to make more of the patterns I got from her. They're super cute. The only reason I picked this one is it was toe up, and since I am using every last yard of this that I have, I did not want to be freaking out about running out of yarn, which I would have done. if it was cuffed down, I would have run out of yarn for sure. I didn't want to do a different color on the heel because my other scraps don't match this very well. This is also by Wonderland. It's their Marianne sock base. The color is birdwing. On their website, birdwing looks very blue and gray, but there's no blue really in person. It's very green, extremely light green. Yeah, it's a very, very, very nice, gentle light green color. There's also brown and tan and gray, and like in person it really doesn't look yellow. I know some of that is coming on the camera like it's a light yellow, but I think it just reads to me as green in person. So yeah, I like the pattern. I had trouble understanding one row at the end of the heel. because of like the way, I think it's because it's translated, the way just like a couple of the lines were written was slightly confusing. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem figuring it out, but just to let you know, probably not beginner friendly just only because of that. Although if you get the pattern and message me if you're an English speaker, I can confirm for you whether or not you're doing it right. And also, I might put it in my Ravelry notes, just only the one row that I was confused about, because it's not like you could figure out the pattern just on me explaining how one row is supposed to go. So yeah, that's these socks. I'm pretty excited about them, looking forward to wearing them tonight when they're done. My next project that I have cast on is this cabled skirt. The pattern is Skirting Around by Yarnspirations, which is the yarn brand Patents. I guess it's the same thing, the same company. I'm not really sure how that works, but yep, this is just a free pattern that I found. I was looking for cabled skirt patterns, and this was just the one that I liked the look of the most. There's this really pretty motif in the middle. Then we have some panels of Irish moss stitch, which is like a type of seed stitch. And then we have these two cables and these twists, and the back of it is the same as the front, so you do the same thing twice. And every other row you just knit the knits and purl the purls. So this has been going a lot slower than I imagined, because you can't knit cables and panels like this while you do something else, like while you read. Like, I could knit this blanket while I was reading, and I can knit most rounds of the socks while I'm reading. So yeah, for this and for my Sueño, I have to sit there and actually look at what I'm doing. So that's fine. It's good to be in the moment and pay attention to what you're doing, but it does make it harder for me because I have to sit down and just focus only on this. I can watch videos or listen to music or have TikTok on while I do it, obviously, but yeah, it's hard to actually watch something when you have to be looking and counting your work the whole time. I'm very happy with the pattern. The yarn, I actually just went to Michael's and got not exactly the yarn the pattern was meant for, but something similar by the same brand. It just happened to be the same brand. I was looking for like blues, like a blue-gray, or like a denim blue kind of color, and the Michael's I was at didn't have that much stuff. I even went to the next county, to a different one that looked like it had different stock. I went there because there was some different yarn that you'll see in my next video, that I'm also doing another free pattern, and I actually got the yarn that was called for by the pattern, which I've like never done in my life. So this is the worsted classic wool in the color dark gray mix. It does have a little bit of a heathered look. I got 4 balls of it, but I think seeing how far the first ball got me, about this far, I only just recently changed colors. Seeing how much I got out of that and knowing that I want the skirt to be not that long, I think I'm just going to use up 3 balls of yarn and then return the 4th one. Obviously I wouldn't have touched it all. It's just in the bag in the other room. Return it for store credit so I can get something else. Yeah, that is my plan. I thought I would need the 4th based on the yardage, but I am knitting this pretty tight, and I want it to be pretty fitted, and there's not a ton of sizes, so I'm making the size small, but it's a little big, little loose on me yet. I've tried it on, so there's supposed to be decreases right before the waistband, but I actually, there's some extra purl stitches in between all of these patterns, and I decreased all of them already to make it smaller so that it will be more fitted. And it's, I mean, this is very stretchy, so I don't have any concerns about it being too small because it's very stretchy. I'm already down in needle size from what the pattern says. I started on a size 6 up until here. I wasn't liking how gappy a lot of the pattern was looking, so I switched to a size 5. You can't even tell where I did it, but it's made a little bit of a difference as far as Yeah, you really can't tell, but I knit up until here on a bigger size, and then I size down to try and make it a little more compact and less see-through. Since I've got enough of it that it is looking like a garment now, I think it's really cute, and I'm excited about it. I actually want to knit a lot of this weekend because it's supposed to be super cold next week. One of my students told me it's going to be like, she said like -20. Now that could be maybe one of the projected wind chills on the most day, on like the worst days. I don't know. I didn't look at the weather yet, but it's apparently supposed to be very cold next week. So having a new wool skirt, that would be nice, but I don't know. I mean, I doubt I could get it done in time because these cables are pretty labor intensive, and I have a pile of repertoire people have given me that I have to learn, that I've been procrastinating on, so I'll make sure you can see that. The pattern is nice. There's a decent amount of sizes. I like it. It's a pretty design. It's pretty easy to follow. It's one of those where there's multiple charts and then the rows are just written out, where there's like written instructions for some of this and then the chart and then written instructions and then some of the chart. So yeah, you do have to pay attention to what you're doing, but I would say it's easy to follow. There we go. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pocket for my phone. So my plan is when I'm on the third ball, like near the top, I'm right-handed, so I probably will just add one pocket on the right side of my body. My plan is to just set my phone against it and decide like probably a pocket like right here would make sense. So from like there to there. I'm gonna bind off a bunch of those and then probably do like 2 rounds back and forth, knitting flat, and then cast them back on so that there's like a bit of a gap. Or maybe I'll just bind them off, put them on a holder and like sew them up and then cast on right away. That might be better. And then later I'm gonna pick up and knit just like a pocket basically. Yeah, it should be pretty easy to do. Gonna make myself a pocket. My clothing needs to have pockets. That's the plan for that. I'm on my second ball of yarn, which means I am like 33% of the way done. But the top rib needs to be pretty long because it's folded over, and ribbing is pretty easy to do. So I'm almost halfway done with the cabled section, which is great because I'm not enjoying it all that much. This is a good reminder to myself. All those cabled patterns in my Ravelry favorites, the sweaters that are all over cables, all over the sleeves, cables, cables, cables everywhere. I want myself to know that I don't like doing cables that much. So in order to enjoy making something, and I make things because I like making them, not because I like wearing them, I just want to make them. In order to enjoy the making process, maybe not so many cables. Maybe not any cables. Maybe I should just find some more sweaters that have lots of texture on them, because I like texture, but I don't want to be cabling all the time because I don't want to have to look at what I'm doing. You see how I can knit the sock without paying attention, without having to like, I don't have the pattern up. Yep. I guess it's time for our moment of truth. I've actually gotten some work done with my third color for my Sueño. This obviously needs to be blocked at the collar. It's gonna look weird for a while, but this pink color has really saved the day. Look, you can see the little bee heads so much better. I did actually buy this pattern in August and September, even though I knew I was going to make it later, so that I could consult the bee chart. And some of the bee chart is the same as the one I use for my father-in-law's sweater, but I mean, they're definitely not the same. The wings I did were completely different, and I just adapted some elements of this chart. I think the pink is very pretty. I do miss the burgundy. I'm excited to make one of her other swatchos with burgundy as the main color, but the pink is nice because it's a spring color. And I will show you my ladderbacks. I can't even tell you like how much better. I wish I had some of my other color work here so I could show you just how terrible it looks when compared to this. But you see I've got these little ladders. This one's only like 3 rows long, but it's worth it. And they are holding everything. Those are just my ends that I haven't woven in. The ladders are holding everything together, so the fabric, you see how it's not like bunching up off of the, and we'll demonstrate with my ring. It's not like I'm not getting caught in it, which is important when you're wearing a giant circular piece of clothing that's 50 inches around, all the way around your body. It's important not to get your fingers and your jewelry caught in it all the time. I know I'm pretty tired from work, so I'm not coming across as very enthusiastic, but this is exactly what I wanted, and I'm very happy with the colors. I'm very happy with how the piece is going. These pieces of color work at the top are lying very smoothly, which is good for the neckline. I think when I like ripped it back, had it on needles, and then picked it up a week later with my new color, that I had a little bit of trouble in these rows, like getting my tension back. But I don't think it'll be noticeable. I think it might actually block out. I'm a little bit smaller than gauge right now because this is DK yarn and the gauge is supposed to be more of an, like the pattern calls for DK yarn, but the gauge is way looser than you would normally use DK for. So yeah, I just have to remind myself to keep it loose and to go slowly and to keep my tension and my floats under control. I got a ton of this done yesterday. My brother came over pretty late, so while I was visiting with him, I just got all the way through, and then today I did 2 more rows. So yeah, got a long ways to go, especially because there's some more increases coming up later. But the contrast is exactly what we want. So this is my swatcho. I don't know when it will be done. I would say hopefully by the end of February. If I was being optimistic, my birthday's in the middle of February, so I would maybe put that as a goal. But seeing like how many pages of music I need to learn that I've been given this week, like, yeah. Yep. I don't know. What I'm supposed to be doing is learning my music. So this is what we've got. These even match. I could make them to like a bit of an outfit. See you next time.